Your ingredients include jalapenos, onion, chicken breasts, garlic, poblano peppers. You also have oregano, coriander, cumin. You'll have a bay leaf. You'll have salt and pepper. You'll have some olive oil and some chicken broth, as well as tomatillos. Hey everybody! So today I'm back in the kitchen and I'm going to make a chicken chili verde. Now this is paleo friendly, it's gluten-free, grain-free, dairy-free, Whole30 approved, and I'll be honest with you, it's pretty much lean and green approved too. Yeah, there's nothing really here that would throw it out of lean and green status. So just a quick review again of the ingredients. We have chicken, tomatillos, we have jalapenos, we have poblanos, we have onion, we have some garlic, we have chicken broth, olive oil, salt, pepper, bay leaf, cumin, coriander, and oregano. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to have to prep the vegetables. So I'm not going to put you through watching all that because God knows who really wants to watch somebody wash a bunch of freaking vegetables. So I'm going to wash the vegetables, get all that squared away. One of the first things, if you've never used, I'm going to mention this now, if you've never used tomatillos, they're interesting. So here's the deal. When you first get tomatillos, there's this green, see this green, almost rice paper film that you see there? See that? Well, that comes off, and underneath, the tomatillo is sticky. And so what you have to do, you have to wash it so that the tomatillo isn't sticky anymore. So we'll be doing that. That's part of what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to take off all of the skins off the tomatillos, and then I'm going to wash them so that they're not sticky. And I'm going to wash the jalapenos and the poblanos so that we can get ready to make this really, really tasty dish. I've made this quite often. I enjoy it as like a soup, a good hearty soup. Renee likes to throw it over rice and eat it that way. So there's a variety of ways to use this. Like I said, it's paleo, it is Whole30, gluten-free, grain-free. More than likely, if we really looked at it, it would be 5-in-1 compliant and for lean and green. And quite honestly, it's not taste-free. It is freaking fabulous. So let me get this going and then I'll be right back. Okay? So first things first, we have to obviously prep our vegetables, and we are going to have to yeah, we just have to prep the vegetables. So I've just finished washing everything. So I've washed the tomatillos. They're no longer sticky. I've washed the poblano and the jalapeno peppers. Now you're noticing I am now putting on gloves because I do wear contacts. And tonight I don't want to feel like someone to put a hot poker in my eye when I go to take out my contacts. There's going to be enough of a hot poker sensation going out the other end of myself. I am not doing that with my contacts too. So what it says we need to do now is we just basically need to quarter these. Now I actually cut them a little smaller. I prefer, you know, the smaller bites. Now some people will also, with this, I've done it two different ways. I have, not only have I done an immersion blend on this, but I have also done simply a, just let it be the whole solid pieces. So later on you'll understand what I'm talking about, because basically what's going to happen is once we get this going and we get all the green stuff taken care of, then what we do is we put it in there and you either emulsify with an emulsion blender, or like I have done, just let everything stay chunky. It adds such a different texture to it. Sometimes I think with the emulsion blender, I feel like maybe I'm eating baby food because it really just takes everything down a notch, and you really miss out on some of those wonderful flavors that you might get like moments of flavor that you might get if there were pieces of something. Like if this tomatillo was obliterated, which pretty much they almost become obliterated anyway once they're cooked. But if it was completely obliterated, I wouldn't get that, hint of tomato, and then, the poblanos and the jalapenos. But I've done it both ways. Either way is fine. Either way will work. Today, I am not going to emulsify, but I will tell you at what point we would emulsify, so that way you would know. Because I'll be honest with you, I do like it to have a little bit of texture to it, beyond shredded chicken and the other items, the goop almost, if you want to think about it that way, because that's kind of how I refer to it. Now you notice I am, you might be able to see that, but I'm actually cutting like the middle area out of the tomatillo, which is basically like the core, and then I'm just cutting the pieces beyond that. So see, like it has a core to it, just like this, and I cut down one side of it, and then I cut down the other, so I end up with almost what looks like an apple slice, and I just toss that. Now what I will do, like for those of you who've watched my videos quite often, I will put that in my dirty bag for soup. And I say dirty bag, and somebody's probably going to be like, what the heck is he talking about? Because it might be your first time watching. I have a chef friend of mine. Her name is Tracy Rankins. And Tracy, she taught me knife skills, which hopefully she's not watching this right now because I'm not really doing well with my knife skills. I need to get better at this. But what happens is you put them, you get a Ziploc baggie, probably a gallon size is always best, and whatever vegetable cuttings you have, you throw them in the Ziploc baggie, and then when it's time to make a nice vegetable broth, you have all these vegetable cuttings for your vegetable broth. So that's a big plus, and it's actually giving you something else. It's not wasteful. It's wonderful. So I'm going to keep cutting these. I'm almost done. And then I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to put you through the torture of watching me cut poblanos and jalapenos. But I'm going to go ahead and get those done. And then we'll move on to the next step, okay? Okay, so I told you I wasn't going to make you watch me cut jalapenos. However, or other peppers. But I just realized I needed to say something. So here's the deal. People are always like, oh my God, you're having jalapenos? Ooh, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot. Here's the deal. The outer skin of the jalapeno has the flavor. The seeds have the heat. Now, I will tell you that in this house, we don't mind having a little heat within our meals. And that's another misconception a lot of people have, because they think that since my husband is Cuban, that everything has to be spicy. Well, actually, their food is not spicy. That's what people think. However, their food is flavorful and tasty. However, it is not spicy. This is something he has picked up since he's come to the States. So what I'm doing here is I'm just cutting them, and you notice I'm throwing the end of it into my tray here, and I'm just cutting them in half so that we'll have that nice bite of pepper when it comes time to start sauteing them up. So basically what's happening now is I'm going to go ahead and cut the poblanos, do the same thing with them, and I've got to trim up the onion, and then we'll show you a little trick. So I've got the poblanos here. I've cut them into halves, and you've got this middle. I did not do this with the jalapenos, but a trick to do to get the middle out is to take a spoon and just simply scoop like this. I will scoop that into this little bucket that I have. And what it does is it will get rid of the ribs that are in the pepper as well as the seeds. So you end up with something that looks like this. So let me show you with this one. So this one's got a lot more going on. So I'm just gonna take my spoon and just kind of drag it through. And like I said, what it does is it gets rid of the ribs, and it also gets rid of the seeds. So that's an easy way to take care of that if you don't want to have the heat in your dish. Just take this spoon and literally just start it and just take it and scrape it through. And you have this wonderful, cleaned out pepper that you don't have to worry about the seeds and everything else. So there's your tip. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm going to be 100% clear and honest with you guys because that's how I am when I do these videos. This is not a meal or a dish you can just throw together in 5 minutes and be done. There's a lot of prep work. You're cutting 3 to 4 poblanos, 3 to 4 jalapenos, a medium onion, and a pound of tomatillos. So don't go, oh, I'll just do this. No, this is gonna make you work a little bit, okay? So now that we've done all this, and I'm gonna do this, I will tell you, this would also be good in a crock pot, a slow cooker. You could do it in a slow cooker. I think it'd be great too. I'm doing mine in my big old soup, my big old ceramic soup bowl here. I think it's a Le Creuset, I can't remember. Anyway, doesn't matter, it's just big and blue and heavy. So what I'm gonna do now is, in this pot, I'm going to add my oil, onions, chopped peppers, all this stuff for 5 to 8 minutes. So now, a word to the wise. These bitches gonna burn your eyes when they start to cook. Okay? It's gonna be a bit strong, and you're gonna be just like, it's a lot. So I always prepared for that, and I just want to prepare you for that, because it is a bit of a surprise. First time I did it, I was not prepared. And yeah, it was a lot. So once again, here in a moment, while my pan's heating up, I'm gonna add some olive oil. I'm gonna add the onions, the garlic, which is inside my little garlic thing, you know, my fun little garlic thing that I got from Pampered Chef. Pepper Chef, they are not sponsoring this video, nor have I gotten any money from them or sponsorship. Damn it. So I'm gonna do the peppers, the onions, the oil, the garlic, saute it for 5 to 8 minutes. Then I'm gonna stir in my tomatillos. Then I'm gonna add the raw chicken into the pot. And these are just 2 large chicken breasts here that I have. And then I'm gonna pour in the broth. Just as a side note, let me put my oil in here real quick. Okay, just as a side note, so you don't have to dirty up another container or anything, I got this at our local Publix. Also, they're not paying me. Paying me for, ooh, that was close. Paying me for anything. However, got this at our local Publix. This is basically 4 cups. Okay, or 2 cups. Wait a minute, it's 2 cups, isn't it? Yeah. Now I'm second guessing myself. Okay, now I'm gonna have to see y'all. See, this is why. That's why I got y'all around. I want to say it's 4 cups, but we're gonna measure, because now that I'm looking at it, I'm not sure. Luckily, I know I have extra chicken broth because yep. So this is 4 cups in this little box. Yeah, 4. Okay, I was right. So it's 4 cups. Okay, so I am now working on sauteing up the peppers, I should say. So the jalapenos and the poblanos are here. There's garlic in here, and there is the onion. So I'm letting those, saute in this for about 5 to 8 minutes. It does have some oil in the pot there, some olive oil. So I'm just letting this kind of simmer up, do what it needs to do. Like I said, it can be a little bit much. So you notice I'm not standing like this over the pot. I'm back a little bit so that I'm not getting pepper sprayed. Pepper steamed, shall we say. But I'm just kind of moving it around. And I just move it around in the pot myself. I just don't want it to stick and burn on the bottom. That's just something I do, which you can certainly let them sit for a little bit. But it does become quite aromatic. Definitely you can smell the pepper, like the jalapenos and the poblanos just smell really good. My dogs don't particularly care for them. As a matter of fact, when I started cooking, Maui came in, and the little black and white dog, for you all who don't know her, came in and saw what Dad was doing and immediately tucked her tail and left the room. So that gives you any clue as to what she's smelling. So What I'm going to do next is, once this gets going, I'm going to stir in my tomatillos, and then I'm going to take the chicken, place it in the pot. I'm going to add all the spices. So I'm going to add the coriander, the salt, the pepper, the cumin, and the oregano. I'm going to add all that in, and then I'm going to pour in the broth, and then I'm going to make sure that the chicken pieces are actually submerged in the pot. This is super important because you want to make sure that the chicken is well cooked, and it needs to be below the surface, obviously, to cook. So I'm going to let this continue to do what it's doing. And here in a moment, I'll put in my tomatillos, and then I'll add the other stuff in, and we can talk about what comes next. So I'm feeling pretty good about these guys doing their thing. So now I'm going to pour in the tomatillos, which once again, this is a pound of tomatillos. Doesn't look like much, but tomatillos have a good amount of weight to them. So once again, I'm going to stir this in to the pot, and we'll be good to go. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to pour in the the chicken broth, and do all the spices and everything, and put the chicken in. I'll show you again later. Poured all that in, and so the next thing to do is to pour in the broth and add my spices and pour in the broth and add the chicken pieces, all that fun stuff. So what I'm doing here, honestly, is I'm just taking out the chicken pieces, which obviously we want to be careful. Once we touch chicken, we're going to wash our hands. So I'm going to take these 2 whole chicken pieces, and they are going to go into my stock pot here. I'm not going to touch that yet. Let me wash my hands. I'm going to get close and personal with you guys here because I'm right at the sink. So it's always super important to wash your hands after touching raw chicken. Don't want salmonella or her sister. I don't know. Just Ella. I don't know. Rubella, salmonella, Cruella. You know. Okay, so I'm gonna dry my hands. Okay, so now I'm gonna add in my pepper. And notice, okay, I am not going to measure all this out. I'll give you the exact measurements, but I'm not measuring this out. Not how I cook in regards to dried spices. Liquid and, you know, other items. I will need to put some more pepper in my pepper grinder. I'll do that. I'm not a big salt person, so you won't see a lot of salt going into this dish. Since starting the Lean and Green program, I have just really cut back on salt. So salt's really not a big thing for me, but there's the salt. Sorry. That's what happens when you drop stuff. I'm going to add some oregano in here. Some coriander. And our cumin. So you get all these wonderful, earthy, fabulous spices. You also need to put in 1 bay leaf into your pot, and then I'm going to pour in the 4 cups of chicken broth. Okay, so now I have the 4 cups of chicken broth in there. So just so you all know the amount of stuff that's gone in so far, we've got 2 tablespoons of oil, 1 large onion, 6 cloves of garlic, 4 poblano peppers, 1 to 2 jalapenos, 1 pound of tomatillos, 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 tablespoon of ground coriander, 1 tablespoon of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 bay leaf. We have the chicken, which they're calling for 2.5 pounds of chicken. I usually cut it back a little bit. 4 cups of chicken broth, They also talk about cilantro. I have not put cilantro in here. Cilantro is one of those herbs that are kind of iffy for some people, but I do not put it in there. So what we need to do now is, obviously the chicken is sitting here at the top and our other vegetables are at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to take my spatula here and try to move some stuff around so that the chicken is now on the bottom. And I'm going to come over here in just a minute with my camera there and show you what's happening. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to let this sit. So we're going to let this simmer for 25 to 30 minutes until the largest piece of chicken is cooked through. So I'm going to do it for 30. And then what's going to happen is I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take the bay leaf out, remove the chicken, and this is when the immersion blender situation happens. And then on top of that, I'm going to show you a really quick and easy way how to shred chicken with a hand mixer. So right now, our main goal is to let this bad boy sit for 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to put the top on the pot. I'm going to turn on my timer for 30 minutes. Oops, wrong timer. And now we wait. So I'm going to straighten up and clean up a little bit here, and we will be back in about 30 minutes to continue on with this dish. The soup is souping. I am a person who, as I cook, I clean. So I have just put away everything. I'm now wiping down the surfaces of the kitchen. I think it's super important to, well, I used to not do this. Let me rephrase this. I used to be the person who would break out all the bowls in the kitchen, and I would have all of them scattered all over. The whole kitchen would be a mess. And then I was like, I really don't like cooking because it's so hard. It's so much crap to have to do. Well, this is just too much. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Well, what I quickly learned was if I cleaned as I went along, and that includes dishes and everything else, it wasn't such a huge, arduous task. So what I tend to do is I will go along, like now I'm at a stopping point where something's got to simmer or bake or whatever. That's when I start cleaning stuff up. I've already put everything in the dishwasher that I've used, that I needed to use. I have this right now, I have this, and I have this bowl that I'll be doing the chicken in after we get it going. That's going to be it. I'm not bringing out and like having all this massive of crazy that I have to deal with. So that's my tip for you too, is to clean as you go along, keep your workstation as tidy as you can. If you've ever watched any of those cooking shows on the Food Network or TLC or anything, you know, there's people who, when they're going along, they're doing really well, their station looks really good, and they've got their together. But then there are other people, their station's a complete mess, you know, something's on the burner and it's about to catch fire, and all of it's crazy, and it's because there's so much chaotic mess that they can't concentrate on what they need to concentrate on. So I'm a firm believer in clean as you cook. So that's just my little tidbit for you today. So I'm going to shut up. This guy has still 24 minutes to go, and I'll be back to talk about what's next in that step. Okay, so we are now at just a little over 5.5 minutes until the 30-minute mark. So I am I'm pretty certain we're good. Our chicken looks very cooked. We have the 2 chicken breasts in here. We have all of the peppers and everything is going. I'm going to let it just cook a little longer just because I want to make sure it is where I want it to be. You know, I cooked it a little higher, so it actually is cooking quicker than normal. I am going to emulsify some of the peppers. I'm going to leave some chunky, and then some are going to be little different. I actually have my immersion blender here already plugged up and ready to go. It'll I've never had one of these before, and I kept seeing people do these emulsion blenders, and I'm like, okay, I have to have one. So now I've got this handy dandy gadget that I pretty much have only used when I make this soup. But I haven't. I've got the gadget. Actually, a friend of mine once told me that I had the most well-equipped kitchen for somebody who didn't cook. And this is before I started really cooking. But she was like, you have the best kitchen for somebody who does not cook. I've never seen somebody with so many gadgets and things. You've got them all. So I was like, thank you. I didn't know what else to say. I mean, what else do you say to that? I mean, I know. You know, so what I'm going to do is, we have a little over 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this off the heat so that I can work on what I need to do next. So I'm going to take it over here. I've already pulled the bay leaf out. I pulled that out just a few moments ago before we got on camera. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this handy dandy little set of tongs here. And I'm going to fish out the chicken, the 2 chicken breasts that we have. There's one. And our second one is right here. Yeah, chicken. Okay, so I'm going to set those aside for a second. Put those in the sink, excuse me. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my emulsion blender. Like I said, I'm going to just throw this in. I'm going to let it do a little bit, and then I'm going to be done. I don't want it to be a complete mush. So I am now just kind of hitting some of the veggies, and I'm done. I don't want to push this much further than that, just because I do want to have some texture, some full pieces of vegetable. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to take this, I'm going to turn back the heat, and I'm going to take this and put it back on the heat. Because next what we're going to do is I am going to take the chicken and obliterate it. So I told you that all you have to do is use a hand mixer. A hand mixer is a great way to shred chicken. So what I'm going to do is first, to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to cut the chicken just a bit so that it's not too awfully crazy when this starts to happen, because it can get a little wackadoo. Maui has decided to come join me in the kitchen, so if you hear some heavy breathing or some tappy toes, it's my girl. Hey, Meow. She's got to be on camera. She thinks she's on camera. She's got to help Dad in the kitchen. Okay, so I've cut this just a little bit. Put those there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to take, hopefully you can see this on camera. Okay, I'm going to take this blender and just stick it down in here and start shredding the chicken. It's a really easy way to take care of chicken. And, I mean, sure, you could sit there with a fork and, you know, pull on the chicken and do all that, but we've got tools now, you know, the fork and a knife, so let's use them. So I am shredding up this chicken. Matter of minutes. Hang on, I'm almost done. It's a little noisy. But feast your eyes on my shredded chicken, bitches. How wonderful is that? It is so good. And I mean, there's some bigger pieces, but hey, that's the great part about this. So let me get, you know, a spatula here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just simply going to, I'm scraping it off the edge for now. So I'm going to take the chicken and I'm actually just going to throw it right back into our soup mix. Now, like I said, it calls for 2.5 pounds of chicken. I have found that's a bit much. Makes it really, really thick, and it's just too much. Just too much. So I only did a pound of chicken, but you could do more if that's your calling. So now I'm going to stir it up, and I'm going to let it sit for a little bit, maybe about another 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm ready to have one of the best soup. It is one of my favorite soups to make. I absolutely love it. Super tasty, super healthy, and just wonderful. So I want to thank everybody for listening to me babble on and cook yet another meal for you. And if you're interested in the recipe, please let me know in the comments below, and I will be sure to get it to you. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.